Disappointing news tonight. The Liberals' throne speech has been adopted in the House of Commons without a recorded vote. This comes after some big talk but no walk from the interim leader of the NDP. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 57 of Jonny Says So. Well, guys, it was too good to be true. This afternoon, I was very excited to see that the interim leader of the NDP, Don Davies, had announced that he and his caucus were going to vote no on the throne speech. Now, this really could have shaken things up, guys. This could have triggered the fall of Mark Carney's government and forced us into another general election. And I'm not the only one who was excited. My Twitter feed was abuzz with news about this. Ryan Garrettson putting this out. Here is the moment NDP interim leader announced he and his caucus will be voting no on the throne speech. Only the Bloc can save the Liberal Party at this point. What will Blanchette do? Indeed, this was exciting, because this is a strong signal that the NDP is done propping up the Liberals. And why not? What do they have to lose? They only have 7 seats. They don't even have party status anymore. And this is a very good point that he brings up, because the Bloc Québécois are now in the awkward position of having to prop up Mark Carney. Now, this is the announcement that he made just a few hours ago. Let's take a look.
The second thing I want to announce today is that New Democrats met caucus this morning, and we decided that we are going to be voting no to the throne speech. 1.2 million Canadians sent New Democrats to this Parliament to advocate for working families across this country. And yet, in this throne speech, we don't see those priorities reflected.
Now, despite all this big talk from Davies, here is the moment where any of these MPs could have stood up and triggered a vote.
Mr. Speaker, there have been discussions among the parties, and if you seek it, I believe you'll find unanimous consent for the following motion: that notwithstanding any standing order or usual practice of the House, A, the address be engrossed and forwarded to His Majesty the King; B, an address be presented to Her Excellency the Governor-General, praying that Her Excellency will be pleased to transmit to His Majesty the King an engrossed address which the Commons of Canada in Parliament assembled adopted in reply to His Majesty's speech at the opening of the first session of the 45th Parliament, and C, the address be engrossed and presented to Her Excellency the Governor-General by the Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable members moving the motion will please say nay. Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried.
So what was that? Not a single hand went up. Not a single word was said. Not by the Bloc, not by the Conservatives, and certainly not by the NDP, who made such a big deal about this just this afternoon. Was this cowardice, or was this them not wanting to be the ones to send Canadians back to the polls? Because let's be honest, a lot of people at this point probably have election fatigue. I'm sure there are some Liberal voters who are already starting to wake up to just how badly Mark Carney has lied during the election campaign and directly afterwards. Now, Mark Carney is riding a little bit of a high right now after the Premier's meeting, but this photo op is not going to last. Now, Andrew Scheer did a great job calling him out on this afternoon in question period, and you can really already start to see the cracks in Mark Carney starting to appear. You can tell he's just not used to being held accountable and questioned on his actions. He wants to run his government more like a CEO than a prime minister. Check this out.
If photo ops and phony rhetoric actually got things done in this country, then Justin Trudeau would still be Prime Minister. But in all seriousness, the Liberals' $500 billion in new spending without a budget will make inflation worse. The PM said that he wants to be judged by prices at the grocery store. So let's look at those prices. The verdict is in. Beef up 34%, apples up 18%, coffee up 9%. Will the Prime Minister listen to Parliament and table a budget that controls spending, lowers taxes, and cuts inflation so Canadians can afford to put food on the table?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased for the first time to hear the members opposite talk about lowering taxes.
That's right.
In front of this House. In front of this House. First time in my hearing.
Now, the House is right to laugh there. Is he serious? The Conservatives, the first time they're talking about lowering taxes, that's literally practically all they ever talk about. It's central to their ideology. What a joke this guy is.
First time in my hearing, Mr. Speaker. Before the House is a tax cut for 22 million Canadians up to $840. They want their support.
Now, debate about the throne speech isn't the only debate that was shut down in the House of Commons today. Here is the Conservatives trying to table an emergency debate on the U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel that have doubled to 50%. Check this out.
As Shadow Minister of Trade Canada-US, I'd like to acknowledge that earlier today we had ruled against an emergency debate on Canada-US. And I would just like to acknowledge that I'm seeking an emergency debate, and I'm hoping that all parties will approve. Canada and the United States share one of the most successful and mutually beneficial trade...
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt the member. Yes, the member for, again, a very long name, Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, and Tynednaga.
I'm seeking unanimous consent for an emergency debate.
No unanimous consent for that from other members in the House. There is no unanimous consent, so continuing to questions and order. Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. Opposition House Leader.
Try this again, because what my honourable colleague was trying to do is to seek unanimous consent for the House to have an emergency debate on the unjustified U.S. tariffs applied on Canada. It was ruled out of order by the Speaker made his decision earlier, but of course the House can do whatever it agrees to. So we're seeking unanimous consent for the following motion: that notwithstanding any standing order or...
Unfortunately, the member does not have unanimous consent. I've heard several no's. So questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. Returning to the member for Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
So there you have it. Debate and discussion on such a serious topic is out of order in Mark Carney's Canada. I don't know about you guys, but I am not very optimistic for the future of democracy in this country. And that's my show for today, guys. Not the news I wanted to bring you, but you win some, you lose some. Now, I plan on bringing you the good news as well as the bad, so make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell, smash the like button, all that good stuff. And I want to know what you think down in the comments. Are you surprised by this news? Disappointed? How do you think Canadians would have reacted to a general election call at this point in time? And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.